I have to give you a disclaimer before you watch this episode and explain something here. I don't ever do this for any of our videos or episodes, but for this one in particular, I have to give that to you directly. This is the night before this episode comes out, and I'm over here and I'm rewatching and checking the quality of the editing and realize I have to tell y'all something. This episode, we are going over the New York Times article around $160,000 developer jobs are going away and this and that. And it's a pretty different article, but there were several people in this particular article that really made Leon and I feel some stuff. Like, we really felt bad for these individuals. So much so that there was one individual that applied to almost 6,000 jobs at the time of writing the article. He exceeded that by the time we spoke to him, but we ended up jumping on a call with him. Literally after recording, I had to find this person, and I searched the internet and found him. We jumped on a call, and it was honestly a pretty long one. It was about 90 minutes, which is very rare for me to do, but I just really felt for this person. And the wild thing to me was recognizing how much bad advice and approaches that we had to break down in order to get to the core of what's going to fix this person's strategy. And it's not their fault. That's the wild thing in all this. It's not their fault. They're following what they've been told. This person has changed their strategy God knows how many times. They had never heard of Leon and I. And at the end of that call, they said one thing in particular. This 90-minute call was worth more than the last 5 years of advice that they had gotten. This is exactly why we do this. So I think this is a very important episode. I will admit, me personally, I got very in my emotions by the end of it. I want to give you that disclaimer so you can make the conscious decision of whether you continue or not. Our goal has never been to make you feel bad or emotional in some way, shape, or form, or really get heated in some way, which I could imagine some people feeling on this one. But I do think it is important that we do discuss the article, because so many people have been reading it. So many people have sent it to Leon and I. So now that the disclaimer's out of the way and you kind of know what you're walking into, please take the value of whatever you can out of this episode. If you agree with us, let us know. If you disagree with us, let us know. We are here to have conversations and help out in whatever way that we truly can. Our goal is to help as many people as possible. That's it. And so this is one method and medium that we've been blessed with and granted to kind of help those that we can. And we're effective at it, obviously, but there's just so much bad advice and rhetoric and approaches that it becomes challenging at times to kind of go through that. So I've talked enough. Onto the episode. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. I hope you get value out of this one.
I understand each and every single person's experience in this, and it's not their damn fault. They were told to do something, they did that thing, and they didn't know any better that there was something else they should have been doing. It's a critical failing of these universities.
What's going on, everyone? We are back with another one. Today's episode is very interesting because I came into this recording situation today thinking we were going to record one episode, and my BFF for life decided to throw me a curveball. He decided to throw me a curveball to where we're recording something I have not seen, I have heard about, but have not looked into as of yet. And it just came out, and he wants raw reactions to it.
I say I haven't read it yet either, but everybody and their mama has been sending me this article that came out in the New York Times. And so I thought it'd be cool to try something we haven't tried before. Just raw, real, live reaction to something that everyone in our community seems to have seen and wants our take on. And so that's what I want to jump into. I think it'll be a good time.
I'm all for it. If you're seeing this episode, we decided it was worthy enough to put out. So, we vet every single episode. So I don't know where this is going to go right now. But I like it. But before we can get into this, we have to do one thing. I'm one of your co-hosts. My name is Danny Thompson. I'm the Director of Technology at This.Labs, and I'm the community organizer for the Commit Your Code conference in Dallas that, as of the time I'm recording this, my life has been upside down trying to get everything locked in. It is what 6 weeks away as of the time we're recording this. So it's been a logistics frenzy right now, trying to get everything situated. It's been all over the place, and so hope to see you there.
And I am one of your other co-hosts, Leon Noel, Manager Director of Engineering for a wonderful nonprofit called Resilient Coders, and community member at 100 Devs, which so many of you have sent me this article. And during our huddle earlier today, had 3 or 4 people asking if I had seen it. So I had heard about it on Twitter. I have not read it. We want to do something a little different today. We're going to talk about this article live, read it together, and kind of give our hot takes as we go through. Cool. So we're talking about this New York Times article that just dropped. It says, goodbye $165,000 tech jobs. Student coders seek work at Chipotle. As companies like Amazon, Microsoft lay off workers and embrace AI coding tools, computer science graduates say they're struggling to land tech jobs. I already got thoughts.
I also have thoughts, but I mean, I want more context before I start answering, because my knee-jerk reactions are very, very different than what it could potentially be. I don't know enough yet to say which way I want to go with this.
We're here for the spice, man. I'll get into it. I want to take a one off of it. 65K tech jobs. This is the thing, right? Like, I think I've been in the game long enough where I've seen the warping of expectations, right? Where someone could come out of learning these tools and walk into a high growth job. For me, it was always a high growth job. That first year salary never really meant anything to me. Yes, it's great to make good money, but it's the 2-3 years down the line where you see the big bucks come in. And so I've seen this, like, over time, this just changed. People that come to learn, they're like, hey, I would love a 100K plus job. I'm like, wait a minute. Where did this number come from? How did we get to this 165K when a good starting salary would have been way half that almost? And so I think for me, it's kind of, we've seen this like inflation of salary expectation. We've seen this inflation of things that are happening. It might be indicative of what's happening in the world, but my immediate reaction was like, oh, okay. And then also the idea that, yeah, I mean, folks are struggling to get opportunities, but I wonder which direction they're going to go. Should we talk about it?
Well, the other thing too is New York Times, brother. New York is expensive, man. Maybe
New York is very expensive.
Maybe that's what they're getting, for some of these junior roles. I already know somebody's typing, not me, my junior role. But I will say, I've been thinking about this a lot. Every part of college outside of tech for years, like if you went to the business portion of a college, they always said, you got to network. Your connections are what make you. It's not what you know, it's who you know, and get in those conversations and blah, blah, blah. You go into the law thing. It's like, hey, you got to network. You want to be a lawyer. You need to really find people at XYZ institutes. You need to kind of make friends. You need to do internships, blah, blah, blah. When it came to tech, it was very happy-go-lucky. I remember when I first started getting on even social media and saying, you need to get out there and socialize and like network with people. What was my first levels of resistance? You shouldn't be telling people that. What about people that don't want to get in conversations? What about this? What about that? And I was like, I'm telling you right now, this rhetoric will change. But the ones that have great connections are the ones that are definitely going to be in other areas. And I've said this on the podcast, I don't know how many times. The biggest goal you want is someone to advocate for you in a room that you aren't in, because those are the people that get referrals. That was never, ever given as a message in colleges around the field of tech. Now I'm starting to hear more of them are starting to push this now because they know, but tech has just matched, in my opinion, as of right now, the competitiveness of every other field that has existed before this. It was always a developer's market prior to this. Now it's definitely not the case because competition has increased dramatically in this area. But I will say, one thing aside, I don't think any other field in the world, as of this very moment, this may change, but as of this very moment, I can't think of another field that's poised for you to kind of create something great, even outside of a regular tech role, to create something for yourself.
All right, let's see where they're going to go with this one.
Yeah, I'm curious. I don't have it in front of me, so I'm just kind of going off of what you're saying.
I'm going to read it. I want to read it. I think it's cool to like see what they go. You're going to have to help me with some of the names here. Growing up near Silicon Valley, Manisa Mishra remembers seeing tech executives on social media urging students to study computer programming. The rhetoric was that if you just learn to code, work hard, and get a computer science degree, you can get 6 figures for your starting salary. Ms. Mishra, now 21, recalls hearing she grew up in San Raymond, California.
Well, California, 165. That kind of makes a little bit more sense, a little bit. A little bit. But how long have we talked about this?
The truth! It's never been the truth! It's never been the truth!
I see people all the time say it's so hard to get a job in tech right now, and I don't discredit it. It is. But being honest, it was no cakewalk when I was trying to get my first job in tech. I remember going through so many motions, especially like as a non-degree holder and being able to prove my skill set. There was a lot that was involved in that process. But this rhetoric was the one thing that we constantly fought against. And people got sucked up by it, but I hated it. I've always hated it. I think it's the worst thing that Bootcamps ever pushed. And they're definitely not tech executives. I'm sure some tech executive said it somewhere because they heard it. But the reality was, man, it's so much harder than that at every stage.
Which is kind of why I love what we do, especially on the podcast, being able to like explain to folks like that's not how, like, just learning the code and working hard is never going to get you the job, especially in this market. And I think some folks just never heard that before. And so as much as we can put that out into the world, it's a good thing. And I think this right here was the competitive advantage of RC for a long time, where we were able to teach more of the practical skills, the things that employers were looking for day one, all the accessory skills, and getting them networking their way in. It's how we got jobs in Boston, which is an academic hub. It's how we would show up and be able to get people placed into a starting average of 94K, mind you, not 165.
Yeah.
But like we were doing it, right? And so I think that's interesting to lead off with. All right.
I mean,
those gold.
I will say,
yeah.
Oh, just adding one thing here. We still, my Discord this week alone, we do the cohort. We're in the last week of the cohort right now. Tomorrow is code freeze as of the time we're recording this. And last week we celebrated someone from the previous cohort, right? It's been 120 days. Waitress now going into tech. I mean, it's still happening, but there's so much I want to say, but I'm holding because I want to see like where we're going with this right now.
Where we're going with this,
yeah.
Yeah, I'll echo the same thing. We had one person that we congratulated in the community before our huddle, 2 people that we helped negotiate offers during the huddle today.
Hell yeah.
Right? Like the alive is still a dream. The alive is still a dream. The dream is still alive. All right. Those golden industry promises helped spur Miss Mishra to code her first website in elementary school, take advanced computing in high school, and major in computer science in college. But after a year of hunting for tech jobs and internships, Miss Mishra graduated from Purdue University in May without an offer. I mean, my gut reaction is Purdue's a good CS school. Like, you have all the choppings there that would make you a great candidate, entry-level candidate, if you have a way of communicating the things that you learned in that schooling. Then it has a quote from, "I just graduated a computer science degree, and the only company that has called me for an interview is Chipotle, aka Chipotle." Ms. Mishra said in a Get Ready With Me TikTok video this summer that has since racked up 147,000 views.
One thing that I would say, let's go back 3 years ago. Does Purdue, I'm just doing a very, very basic Google search at this point, have 100% placement rate? I don't think so. I don't think they've ever had that.
Yeah.
Even off of this Google search that I'm seeing, I see like 80%, 90%, 81%.
Yeah.
It has
there's also this thing that people always love to bring up with these type of articles. I would bet some real money it's coming up at some point, but they always cite the unemployment rate for computer science graduates as like something that's like bad now. But the weird thing is it's always been bad. Like it's never been like this guaranteed job type of standard. And so people like right now recently been quoting like this unemployment rate for CS grads. And it's like, yeah, but if you look before pandemic, even it still was not a perfect like employment pipeline. There's always been some level of unemployment, and it's actually been comparative to other majors, not the best. And so like we feel like it, like we want to see the times we're in now and backfill to the past as well. And that kind of gets a little choppy as well.
I will say I do understand the sentiment though, because the idea is in America, you know, we push this rhetoric for a long time. Like if you work hard, you study your behind off, you get into debt, and you get a degree, this should be the pathway for you to getting higher levels of income, employment, security, and things of that nature. I think for quite a bit now, the degree has went from something of high prestige to an employer to a checklist item on the things that they check, which to me is terrible, because as a non-degree holder, I don't feel great about that, because I even understand that a degree has value. And even my advice to my own child would be, hey, I really want you to go to college, to get a degree, et cetera, et cetera. My rule has always been this: if you go to college, it has to have purpose. If it doesn't have purpose or an ultimate plan behind it, you're really not doing something great, right? Like you could do something completely different, whether it's going to a trade school or something of that nature. But if you go to college, let it have a purpose, because you're going to accumulate a ton of debt. And if you don't get something that pays it off, you're going to be stuck for a while, right? So it's like, what are you doing or leveraging? Is it something in medical? Is it something in law? Whatever it may be. But the idea is, if you're not going to do that, then like take a different route that will get you a high paying field or opportunity that you can leverage later on down the road. When it comes to prestigious universities like Purdue, Harvard, et cetera, of course, like you're producing like the top of the top. But now with the levels of competition, I'm sure it's something that can get your resume looked at. I guarantee you, if Chipotle is the only place that called this individual, I guarantee you their resume was looked at no matter what. But just because of your university, it wasn't enough to get you into the room. That there was fundamental things that were lacking in many other areas.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head, right? There's like this underlying promise that folks have been sold and told, and the degree is not the final lever to getting that job that you can pull. And so we have a lot of folks that I think this article is speaking to, where that promise is collapsing, and they put a lot of time, energy, money into going this route for it to not work out. I mean, it's also just a big failing of the universities to not prepare these students for the current market as well.
It sucks. Right. I feel for them.
Yeah, for sure. Since the early 2000s, a parade of billionaires, tech executives, and even U.S. presidents has urged young people to learn coding, arguing that tech skills would help bolster students' job prospects as well as the economy. Tech companies promise computer science graduates high salaries and all manners of perks. Typically, their starting salary is more than $100,000 plus $15,000 hiring bonus and stock grants for $50,000. Brad Smith, a Microsoft executive, said in 2012 as he kicked off a company campaign to get more high schools to teach computing.
That's not accurate.
Yeah. I mean, that's also like saying you're going to go to the Yankees. That's like going into every high school and saying, hey, if you play baseball, you can go play for the Yankees, right? That's what they just said.
I don't know about you, but I did. Did you not?
I mean, I tried, but you know, sixth grade was not kind to me in terms of baseball.
You know what it was, man? You were running down to the next base, that hair was flowing in the wind, and they're like,
exactly.
Too
much friction.
Yeah. It's wild. It's okay. I was hoping this article wasn't going into this area. I don't like that something inaccurate has already kind of been said, but maybe they pick it up somewhere. I really don't know. I'm going off of your lead here, but
yeah, I think maybe they're thinking. I think they're right. There were tech executives that talked about their compensation packages, and it'd be great if we had more workers, especially as demand is growing. Like that's all true things. But it's also, that's the creme de la creme. That's FANG. That's always been an aspirational reach for engineering talent. It's not what most people walk into, especially not for their first jobs. especially if you go the university pathway and you haven't done an internship each summer. You haven't done the extracurricular things that help you stand out as a candidate going into those pipelines, especially if you haven't done the leak codes and all those other things that you have to do to hit that level. If you're not doing those things, then yeah, it's aspirational. It's interesting. Let's see where they go.
Yeah. The FANGs of the world are such a bad example. There has to be more realistic ones, like Jimmy's insurance company down the street. I guarantee you it doesn't have the same comp package as Microsoft.
Yep. The financial incentives plus the chance to work on popular apps quickly fed a boom in computer science education, the study of computer programming and processes like algorithms. Last year, the number of undergraduates majoring in the field topped 170,000 in the United States, more than double the number in 2014, according to the Computing Research Association, nonprofit that gathers data annually from about 200 universities.
So almost 200,000 people were working, according to that?
It says that, I think they're making the claim that, well, not the claim, but they have the facts to show that the number of undergraduates majoring in computer science doubled from 2014 to last year. Yeah.
I mean, definitely, I think we've all realized that there's been a boom in the number of people that have been learning to code. And it's undergraduates, I don't even think is a good metric for this, because you have so many that are going to coding bootcamps, so many that are self-learning, so many that are taking mentorship programs to learn. So like there's so many things that is not even being calculated, and that number is very small to me compared to what my mind would assume it to be.
But now the spread of AI programming tools, don't put it this way, which can quickly generate thousands of lines of computer code, combined with layoffs at companies like Amazon, Intel, Meta, and Microsoft, is dimming prospects in a field that tech leaders promoted for years as a golden career ticket. The turnabout is derailing the employment dreams of many new computing grads and sending them scrambling for other work.
I can tell you right now, hands down, I won't say it's 0%. Maybe somebody's been laid off for AI. I can pretty much guarantee AI is not really doing that work at all. If anything, the real threat by 30-fold is offshoring and nearshoring in the United States, which is great for international people. Like, hey, opportunities are coming your way. For those in America, not so great, unfortunately, because I can give you a prime example, actually. A person I know, they are a VP of a company here in Dallas, and they just got a brand new CTO recently. And the CTO was having some conversation with their like existing consulting firm, and they ended up firing them. They didn't agree, whatever it may be. No. He got rid of 60 developer roles, just like that. And they immediately went offshore. And they were able to bring on 100 developers for a fraction of what they were paying the 60. How could you ever think it's something else?
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing I think they could be reaching for here is, I could see maybe an argument that pace of hiring is lowering because of like aspirational dreams of AI not needing as much developers due to AI. So like maybe they're like not hiring in the near term as they like wait for that to simmer out. But I don't see that playing out either. Just trying to like give some credence to it. I just think it's like the doomer mentality playing out here. It's interesting.
Yeah, and one other thing I would point out too is y'all need to understand something, right? And this is what I constantly put into perspective, is a lot of companies have added a massive amount of headcount to their organizations. And so I'm looking for the exact stat, but I saw a stat the other day and I was like, oh, this is interesting. It kind of proves the point. I believe it was 2018, Google had 97,000 or 98,000 employees, right? Google today has 186,000, I believe it was 187,000. So almost double the total headcount of employees across the board. Like people aren't considering this when they're thinking about, oh, wow, they let go of 3,000 people. Well, pre-pandemic to now, they've doubled their headcount.
Yeah.
They let go of 3,000, but they brought on 90,000. Like, are we forgetting that point? Like some of the stuff, and I get it. We always want to see businesses growing and producing, et cetera, et cetera. Right now, there's a lot of competition, et cetera, et cetera. I totally understand. With that being said, if we want to use crazy metrics or out there metrics, if you worked in FANG as a junior, you're getting 165,000 out the gate. Work at OpenAI, $1 million sign-on bonus. Like, these are ridiculous metrics to compare yourself to. But like, this is something you should be thinking about too. Like, what is the overall headcount? Like, these companies did grow massively in a short period of time. 5 years, 6 years, that's something to consider. How many employees they added in on that time period of 6 years is something to think about. What's currently happening with all these companies.
I also think people really kind of underestimate the scale of the total number of opportunities. We're talking about like up to 1.7 million in the US in terms of just like raw software engineering. Anywhere from like 100,000 plus open positions at any given time on LinkedIn, right? Like, and other big job boards. And so it's just, there's a lot here. And I mean, there's always been the boogeyman, right? There's always been the nearshoring, the offshoring, and we are seeing it become easier to do things. I know a lot of companies hiring talent directly out of Brazil now, like, but that's always been a thing. Like, we're still battling with the same kind of issues here. All right, let's keep going through this part here. Among college graduates aged 20 to 27, computer science and computer engineering majors are facing some of the highest unemployment rates. 6.1% and 7.5% respectively, according to the report from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. That is more than double the unemployment rate among recent biology and art history graduates, which was just 3%.
Art history? Really? It's double art history? You tell me 97% of art history graduates graduate with a job in the field of art history?
I think you're hitting on like one of the other big points here, right? That the folks that were sold this dream of going to school, going to computer science, struggling through all the math and science courses that they have to go through, then they graduate, they don't want to take the job at Chipotle or Starbucks.
100%.
Whereas other graduates might be more willing to acquiesce and go something that's not on the traditional path. I have never met someone in those fields utilizing that's not true. There's gonna be somebody's gonna send me an angry email, but very few art history graduates I know are working in the field right now.
97%. What are the graduates for? Like, I don't know how they came up with it. Here's what I will say, joking aside and being very serious. I totally get the scare metric of double the unemployment rate according to other graduates. The one thing that I did see was it basically said, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the exact figure that you said, but it was like 94% are basically employed. So 6% are not. I think that's the one thing that we often miss when it comes to these things. Like, so 94% of people that graduated landed a job, which is pretty significant. Especially in today's market, right? Like, it's a competitive market. 94% got on there. So that means the 6% that are not getting on there, obviously it's a big number. We'd wish it would be 0%, but there's always going to be people that are doing everything right and it just doesn't pan out, unfortunately, right? Or they're just getting by and it's not panning out for them as well. So it's like, you need to start leveraging other things. You can't play the traditional route that everyone is playing and hoping that it goes the way that you want it to go. You got to start thinking outside the box. You got to start doing other things. But I will say 94% graduating from one university and landing an opportunity there and somewhere within the field matching their degree is pretty significant.
I really want to look this up, so we might have to edit this. Looking at older data, one analysis estimated the approximate unemployment rate of 7.8% for computer science graduates, about double the general U.S. unemployment rate, highlighting in new modern times CS grads weren't immune to hiring downturns. It seems historically CS has still kind of had an unemployment issue. I know it's been exacerbated here. I'm not pulling that point here. It's just, I think what we're mentioning here is like this it has been high because people want to stick their toes in the ground and really dig into getting the opportunity that they were sold, and they have that less transferability of like what they're going to actually do. So the rate has always been inflated. So I get what they're saying here, but this is
one thing that I'm just remembering. Not only is the rate whatever they're saying, but the number of graduates has doubled. Didn't we say that earlier?
Yeah.
So we've increased the number of people, but the rate has stayed roughly the same. I don't know. I'm, like, again, I haven't done deep research. We're reacting to this in real time.
Yeah.
So don't come to me like, look at this report at XYZ. But based on what I'm hearing,
actually come to us with that report from XYZ. I want to see it, like, because this is I just don't understand. And so if you can make me understand, please. All right, next to you. I'm very concerned, said Jeff Forbes, a former program director for computer science education and workforce development at the National Science Foundation. Computer science students who graduated 3 or 4 years ago would have been fighting off offers from top firms. And now the same student would be struggling to get a job from anyone.
I mean, I could see that. I would be concerned too. But with that being said, 94% of your students graduated. And so they did get offers. I get it. I get the hype building up in people because I see it all the time. There was a report that came out.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. No, go for it.
I was say there was a report that came out from Gartner that said 40% of all these like AI agent startups and companies will not exist in 2027. And the thing that I kind of read in that, it's similar to this, is like, so I mean, 60% of them are going to succeed, and they will be around in 2027. 40% will fail, which sucks. But
most business,
or they may
90%
get
of
their
businesses
cash
fail within the first
yeah.
year. All right, wonderful. That's amazing statistics.
Yeah.
We're excelling.
It's kind of the way that I'm thinking about this too. Like, it's definitely not great that people are struggling to get jobs. I think this is the one thing that we fight for constantly.
Yeah.
But for the demand to double and for people to be placed, that's pretty significant.
Yeah.
And the other thing too that I'm considering in all this too is like, you're not just going to a regular university. You're putting on what I like to call super debt. Like, you've gotten the name recognition debt. And so it's very scary to graduate and not get an opportunity because of that. So I'm not discounting 100%. That, but I am saying that,
which also leads to that doubling down in that cycle of not wanting to take the other job, to not taking the Chipotle. Yeah. I think the other thing too here is like, I like this as a counterbalance to the narrative that some of these folks may have unfortunately been sold, right? Like, I think that as a good balance, just have some qualms of how they're going about it.
Yeah.
In response to the questions from the New York Times, more than 150 college students and recent graduates from state schools, including University of Maryland, Texas, Washington, as well as private universities like Cornell and Stanford, shared their experiences. Some said they had applied to hundreds, and in several cases, thousands of tech jobs at companies, nonprofits, and government agencies.
Clickers.
Dirty clickers.
Yeah.
We talked about this a lot. People we're going to get clipped out of context so wild on this episode.
I know.
A clicker is someone who just clicks apply. It doesn't work. Historically hasn't worked. There are a few anecdotal people that have gotten lucky that fuel narratives that it might work. And every once in a while it does truly happen. But by and large, if you're just clicking apply, you're not going to get the job. There's so many other things that you need to be doing to actually get applications through, especially in this market, that if all you're doing is clicking apply, guaranteed this is going to happen to you every single time. What are these career services doing at these universities?
I'll say this publicly. A lot of boot camps and programs will pay me to jump on calls to get advice on like how they can help their students and things like that. It's been that way for years. And if they knew how to do it, they wouldn't be bringing in people like me, you, and others to do that. Instead, they would be doing it the way that they know how to. And to be honest with you, a lot of bootcamp instructors, I won't say all, but quite a few, have been people that have graduated the bootcamp and they haven't landed a job in tech. So the first tech job is teaching the curriculum that they went through at the bootcamp. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it gives you something to kind of recognize and be like, wait, if you went through the program and you're the one now teaching me, why weren't you able to leverage an opportunity out of this? But you're selling me on this dream for 15 grand to 30 grand a seat that I'm going to get an opportunity out of this when you weren't able to do it, but now you're teaching me. it's just something to recognize in the whole aspect of this.
And it kind of just goes back to feeling for folks that are just stuck in this, right? Like it's just, they're not getting the advice they need.
Yeah. And that's why, honestly, can we be real? This was the whole catalyst to us starting the podcast, because this is me being real with y'all. When it comes to certain tasks, like if someone's like, Danny, can I get 30 minutes of your time or an hour of your time? Often I'm reminded I can spend an hour and dedicate to one person and help them, which is great, right? Or we can help 100 people in a Twitter space. And that 100 now gets the same advice that one would get because they have the same problem and they just don't know how to leverage it. But now we've been able to scale it. The podcast is kind of similar in this aspect. So a lot of these conversations have been mentoring level conversations where we jump into and kind of help somebody out, but we try to like counterbalance it with true value. And that was the whole reason why we decided to do this thing.
Process can be arduous, with tech companies asking candidates to complete online coding assessments, and for those who do well, live coding tests and interviews. But many competing graduates said their months-long job quests often ended in intense disappointment or worse, companies ghosting them. I'm trying really hard not to be snarky as I'm reading this, but it's just, I wish there was a way that we could scream the things that work into everyone that feels this way. It's like I'm reading the CS career subreddit, where it's just an echo chamber of like that, the things that don't work, that feed them believing that they can't do it. And I know that, like, the funny thing is, like, we have a weird privilege that a lot of these folks might not have. There's nothing I could ever convince or say to you as someone that was a fry cook that pulled themselves to where they are right now, that I could tell some of these folks that they would believe, right? Like you've worked your way up through all of this, and at no point was a coding assessment or a live coding test or an interview something you didn't expect to have to do, right? Like you knew that was going to be the docket, and you got better at it. You did it, you know, like it's.
What gets me about this is DSA is part of the curriculum. So it's like you should have some kind of idea of how to do DSA. That's number one. But number two, we've always had coding assessments. That was pre-pandemic. Like there was whiteboard coding. I remember us in Memphis, because I was in Memphis at the time, and we were helping people get jobs. And the way that we were doing it, we had a mock interview night where they would have mock interviews, and the other part of the room was live mock whiteboarding challenges. So that way they can feel more comfortable in the process, so they can feel confident when they're in that room. And I remember a recruiter, we had like 8 recruiters doing like live mock interviews. And I remember them saying, I've never seen a mock interview event this well set up to have people succeed. But it was always there. And that was like, what, 2017? 2018?
Yeah.
So it's like, if that was there then, that hasn't changed as far as getting. Now, I've had this debate on social media a lot. And I know some countries that I came to learn don't have any DSA interview whatsoever. And they thought it was the weirdest thing in the world that we do. I've only ever had, and I've said this on the podcast, I've only ever had one interview in my life that wasn't a DSA interview. Every other interview was always a HackerRank test, elite code test, writing in a Google Doc, whiteboard coding, those things. It's always been part of the process.
I have seen some that don't, but it's because they had so much social proof that they didn't need to do it, right? Like there are so many things that they were able to demonstrate that kind of skipped them over. But yeah, I think something you also bring up a lot is like how every other industry like has interviews and like things you have to do to get a job. This is the thing that we have to do, right? Like we should be good at all this stuff. We should expect all these things. I think the ghosting part maybe is something that's a little bit more new, but that's always been a problem too for a while.
I mean, I got ghosted from gas station jobs. A regional gas station that's very popular ghosted me. So it's like if they're ghosting me for $7.25 an hour, I'm pretty confident they're going to ghost you for $100,000.
Some faulted the tech industry, saying they felt gaslit about their career prospects. Others described their job search experience as bleak, disheartening, or soul-crushing.
I think that's fair.
That's fair, yeah. Among them was Zach, 25, who enrolled as a computer science major at Oregon State University in 2019, partly because he loved programming video games in high school. The tech industry jobs seemed plentiful at the time. 2023?
That's what I was gonna say.
Oh, that's wild. Okay. Since graduating in 2023, however, Mr. Taylor said he has applied to 5,762 tech jobs. His diligence has resulted in 13 job interviews, but no full-time job offers. All right, we gotta reach out to Zach. We gotta help this person because we know what's wrong.
But my question is, if we help him, is the New York Times going to do an article on us?
Absolutely not.
Oh,
This is why. Well, because we know exactly what's wrong.
yeah. Dang, 5,000 plus job.
That's in 2023, mind you. Like
this. Can I say one thing? Is this going to be seen as mean? I don't know. I don't think it is. But I've often heard, and I've often said that you need to customize your resume for the role that you're applying for. And I often get hit with, I don't have time for that. And, but it's proven like that's statistically going to be the highest rate of replies that you get. I've just seen it time and time again. And I often get hit with, that's a lot of work. I don't have time for that. And the question I often ask back is, well, do you not have time to customize your resume? Or do you not have time to apply to 1,000 plus jobs and not get a call back? In Zach's situation, 5,000 plus, whatever that number was, is wild. And do you not have the time to customize before each one? Or because 5,000 jobs, you have to be spraying and praying at that point. There's just no way.
There's no way. Yeah. That's how I said. That's why I said we know what's wrong here. We know because that amount of time doesn't enable you to do the things that we know lead to a better opportunity. The customizing of the resume, the networking your way in, all those things are not possible at that type of scale. And so, yeah.
And also 2 years you haven't been able to network in it. Now I will say 13 job interviews, that's pretty good. That's not bad.
That's right, yeah.
It means you hit something right 13 times. The question is were you able to audit it from there? Were you able to pivot from there? What did you get out of those 13? And to end in that many interviews, that's a number a lot of people don't even get to see, right? A lot of people that get jobs don't see 13 interviews. There's something fundamentally wrong with the conversations that you're having in 13 different, 13 employers saw you, spoke with you, and you weren't able to win it from there. Something went wrong within that interview process that you're not auditing.
The job search has been one of the most demoralizing experiences I've ever had to go through, he added. The electronics firm where he had a software engineering internship last year was not able to hire him, he said. This year, he applied for a job at McDonald's to help cover expenses, but he was rejected for lack of experience, he said. He has since moved back home to Sherwood, Oregon, and is receiving unemployment benefits. It's difficult to find a motivation to keep applying, Mr. Taylor, adding that he's now building personal software projects to show prospective employers. Hey, some hope at the end there. Let's go.
I'm not saying nothing, but it just shows it took you almost 6,000 applications, I think you said, for you to realize you need something to show an employer that, hey, I have a demonstrable way of showing my skills. I'm not trying to poke. I'm not trying to be mean, but I am saying it's good that you recognize that eventually, but I feel like you should have recognized that much earlier in the process.
Yeah, and we are poking, but we're not poking. Exactly, we're not poking me. We're poking so that everyone else listening to this can understand that there's a right way and a wrong way to go about the job search. And at the level of applications they were submitting, they were going about it the wrong way. So if one person can hear this and think about their process in a slightly different way that can lead to a better outcome, that's a good thing, right? That's what we want. We want you to listen to this and go, maybe I should go listen to their other podcasts where they break down how to get a job, where they break down how to network and DM folks, the art of the DM. There are so many of these little things that would help someone like them to be more successful in the job search. And if they have that from the beginning, I think it'd be in a very different situation. And if this gets picked up anywhere, there's always going to be people that are just horrible on the internet. This is going to get posted on Reddit. I know the number one comment is going to be skill issue. And then there's going to be somebody crying and somebody saying skill issue. And that's not what we want here. We want you to realize, look, there is some truth to both sides of it. The market is the market right now, and it's not great. but there's also things that are in your control and things that you can be doing differently that lead to better outcomes. And a lot of these folks, I just don't think know what those things are. And they're holding on to this promise that was made that is not coming true.
Yeah, it's pretty rough. Again, I keep going back to the same thing that I've been saying this whole thing. Like, I really feel for everyone going through it. Like, and it's making me remember even like when I was feeling lost, and that's kind of where my mind is at this current moment. So it's got me feeling a little down because I'm remembering that. And I hate the fact that it took someone 2 years plus to recognize they need to pivot in their approach. But it also kind of goes back to one thing. You know, as many times as I jump on these one-on-one calls with people, like I do all these one-on-one calls. If you go to like dthompsondev.com, you'll see the links. I generally try to avoid people doing it, like use the Discords and stuff like that for advice. But if you just genuinely need help, maybe that's the option for some. I lose on those one-on-one calls. But regardless, I often say, I often hear like, oh, on a resume review call, I've had so many developers review this. I'm like, that's fine. I won't have any comments until I see it. Or so many hiring managers have looked at this for me and I just don't know. It's like, I'll reserve all comments until I see it. And then you see it and it's like, come on, there's nothing here. Prime example, I was on a subreddit on Reddit, and someone, I peruse every once in a while. I don't peruse a lot, but once in a while. And they were just screaming from the hilltops, this is just not working. It's a scam. And so I was like, I commented, and then they replied, well, you can see my resume. I'm like, okay, send it. I'll send it, sure. But I'm telling you right now, there's something fundamentally wrong with your approach. And as soon as I saw the resume, I knew what was wrong right away. And I just made a quick video reply of everything. And he said, this 4 minutes was more valuable than the last year of me trying. And it's like, I don't know how else to get through people, because like, I don't think people give advice with bad intentions in mind. I think it's from a very, very good place. But the problem is everyone thinks because one thing worked, they know the entire hiring process, or they know how a recruiter works, or how a technological manager may work, or an engineering manager may work. And it just comes to like just bad advice from a good place. And it just steers people in the wrong way.
I see that a lot. Like folks that have showed it to 4 or 5 different people that have steered them all over the place in directions that if you have a more macro level understanding of what people are looking for and want, you wouldn't come to the same conclusion. So I get it. Sorry, 1 second.
We've been going for almost an hour. Let's finish this article and move on.
Computing graduates are feeling particularly squeezed because tech firms are embracing AI coding assistants, reducing the need for some companies to hire junior software engineers. The trend is evident in downtown San Francisco, where billboard ads for AI tools like CodeRabbit promise to debug code faster and better than humans. The unfortunate thing right now, specifically for recent college graduates, is those positions that are most likely to be automated are the entry-level positions that they would be seeking, said Matthew Martin, U.S. senior economist at Oxford Economics, a forecasting firm.
I don't want to say what I'm saying and what I'm thinking.
I think you should say it.
Am I tripping? Isn't CodeRabbit like a code review tool? It's not even...
Yes.
So it's not debugging code. It just reviews it after you submit the PR. If I'm not mistaken, that's exactly what the tool does. It's kind of wild that that's the example that they gave of all the possible examples they could have. So they didn't just get it wrong. They got it pretty dang wrong, but all right.
Tracy Camp, the executive director of the Computing Research Association, said new computer science graduates might be particularly hit hard this year because many universities were just now starting to train students on AI coding tools, the newest skills sought by tech companies. This has always been the problem with universities since universities started.
They don't know
doing this. Yeah, they don't know. They're too late to all the trends and curves. If you're coming out of a CS program, you should expect to add stuff on top of what you were taught in a 4-year program.
Yeah, I am on a board of advisors for a university here in Dallas. And essentially the idea is to help them kind of have more modern curriculum for their graduates. And they definitely have been heeding the advice, and you can see the pivots. They created like a program that's been very well received, but it's also partnering with a ton of employers in the Dallas area. And so I think like those are the angles that you should be using. If you have the audacity to charge people a lot of money, like life-changing money, you should be putting the effort in to make sure that you're producing a program that's going to get them an opportunity somewhere, or at least giving them the highest likelihood of landing something. And if you're not putting in that legwork, it's pretty disrespectful to me.
Some graduates describe feeling caught in an AI doom loop. Many job seekers now use specialized AI tools like Simplify to tailor their resume to specific jobs and autofill application forms, nailing to quickly apply to many jobs. Or same thing we've been talking about this whole time. At the same time, companies inundated with applications are using AI systems to automatically scan resumes and reject candidates. I mean, there's been like the one case that they're being sued right now, but like by and far, this is not true. Like super illegal, like gets them in a lot of trouble. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what is going on? To try and stand out, Audrey Roller, a recent data science graduate from Clark University in Worcester, Mass., said she highlighted her human skills like creativity on her job applications, which she writes herself unassisted by chatbots. But after she recently applied for a job, she said a rejection email arrived 3 minutes later. Yeah. Knockout questions are very different than like scanning. And I think people think like there's just like magic number that you have to meet. Like it checks the keywords, and if you don't have more than 90% match, you get kicked out. There are knockout questions, but it's very different.
I mean, I remember when I was applying to jobs, I never got a job like this, but I used to lie and say I had a degree just to see if I could get past the Indeed questionnaire. I mean, it wouldn't always work.
Some companies are using AI to screen candidates, removing the human aspect. Mr. Roller 2022 said, it's hard to stay motivated when you feel like an algorithm determines whether you get to pay your bills. I get it.
I totally get it. Like if I were to walk in an interview or like a Zoom call for an interview and it's an AI tool that's interviewing me,
yeah,
I'm not gonna lie, I probably would be out of there.
I would spend the next half an hour trying to like verbally jailbreak it to see if I could. I spent way too long at the fast food line trying to do that the other day. All right. Recent graduates looking for government tech jobs also report increased hurdles. They just had the massive layoffs. Like what? Jamie, who graduated this year from Georgetown University, said she majored in computer science. She loved the logical approach to problem solving. During college, she also learned about the environmental impacts of AI, and grew interested in tech policy. Last summer, she had an internship at the National Science Foundation, where she worked on national security and technology issues like the supply of critical minerals. She essentially applied for more than 200 government, industry, nonprofit jobs, she said. Okay, but recent government cutbacks and hiring freezes have made getting federal jobs difficult, she said, while AI coding tools have made getting entry-level software jobs at companies harder. And I get it. Like if you're trying to go into government, that's significantly harder right now with all the freezes and the cuts. So like that just sucks. Like you plan to go into one industry, that's not going to work. You have to pivot to something else until that changes. Like I get that sucks, and that's what you were geared towards. Prominent computing education boosters are now pivoting to AI. President Trump, who in 2017 directed federal funding toward computer science in schools, recently unveiled a national AI action plan that includes channeling more students into AI jobs. That's something we talked about maybe covering, like looking through that plan. Microsoft, a major computing education sponsor, recently said it would provide $4 billion in technology and funding for AI training for students and workers. Last month, Mr. Smith, Microsoft's president, said the company was also assessing how AI was changing computer science education. Great. I mean, more money coming in to help folks learn is a good thing. See how that translates into jobs. Miss Mishra, the Purdue graduate, did not get the burrito making gig at Chipotle, but her side hustle as a beauty influencer on TikTok, she said, helped her realize that there was more enthusiastic about tech marketing and sales than software engineering. The realization prompted Miss Mishra to apply cold for a tech company sales position that she found online. The company offered her a tech sales job in July. She starts this month. Beautiful.
So she realized through this process that she ended up liking something else and was able to leverage it
and the skills
and get
that
an
she
opportunity
had.
in there.
Yeah.
In something that not only the skills she had, but things she enjoyed having. I don't see where the negative here is with that. Like I've often said on this podcast, like sometimes knowledge comes through taking a step forward. and you learn something. So I've often told people, hey, make a plan of action items to get from one position to the next. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong, but at least put down that plan. And as you take those steps, you may end up learning something like, oh, what my idea around this was actually inaccurate. But now I know this is where I need to be. So I can fail, pivot, grow in that new area and take those steps up. So sometimes the thing you want doesn't have to be the thing that you are going to end up doing forever. It could be the thing that leads you to the thing that you now realize this is what my calling was. So learning tech maybe wasn't the thing that this person liked. I can't remember the name, so I apologize. But hey, maybe they ended up liking instead this whole tech sales aspect, and they started leveraging that, and that's what they went to. And now there's a ton of money in that. You know how many tech sales people are making it rain? I'm just saying. It's not a bad story ending right there. Is that the end of the article?
That's the end of the article.
Wait, so they didn't interview anybody that got a job? I figured the ending would be like, we interviewed these people that did get jobs, and here's what they had to say around it. Or like,
there are no jobs, Danny. There are no jobs. What are you talking about? No jobs. 0 jobs out there.
Is it a hot take to say that I don't like this article?
I don't think that's a hot take. I think this is a very unusual article. And here's the thing. It's an unusual article to be critical of because you feel for the people that are in this. Like, I understand. Sure. I understand each and every single person. We need to put this at the beginning of the episode. I understand each and every single person's experience in this, and it's not their damn fault. I think that's also kind of really maybe what the article's hinting at. Like, they were told to do something, they did that thing, and they didn't know any better that there was something else they should have been doing. It's a critical failing of these universities that took all their money and didn't have somebody that could tell them they had to do projects and demonstrate the skills that they had above having the piece of paper. And that to me is wild. And so it's hard to like feel some way about this because you just like, you don't want to like, they just didn't know. They
didn't. That's where I'm feeling right now. I know we've been talking about this for an hour, but I genuinely like feel a little pain for a lot of people that are going through this. I'm not even lying or joking or trying to sugarcoat it. Like the dude that you mentioned earlier, I think you said his name was Zach, 5,000 plus job. Like, I want to reach out to the dude, check on how he's doing. Forget the employment thing. Like, just how are you doing, man? Like,
yeah.
I don't like this article. I don't think it did justice to the subject. I think there's so many things that it could have talked about in a justifiable way that we would have supported it. Like, yes, it's a tough market. Yes, a lot of promises were made.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that we are probably the first people to tell you that the university system kind of sucks, and like, we don't want people going this path.
I don't understand.
I personally don't, like, and it turned us into like somebody that's like not agreeing with what they're saying. Like, that's wild to me. I did not expect that coming into this, honestly.
I really thought like this was going to be an episode that we were just going to have so many hot takes on, but I feel like it's so lukewarm. If people get mad about this one, I'm going to be very shocked because I don't understand what our stance could potentially be that is just so hostile against this article. I don't agree that job displacements right now are due to AI. If anything, it's due to offshoring and nearshoring more so than ever before. I do think that this industry has doubled and tripled in size compared to where it was 5-6 years ago. And this is something that people don't take into account or consideration into what is happening as a whole. I do think another factor that people don't pay attention to is the number of layoffs that have occurred within the last couple of years, where qualified developers are on the job market fighting for opportunities. And if you are a candidate that is trying to get into the market now and you're not setting yourself up to at least showcase value, you're going to be out of luck. And so you need to do what it takes to stand out where all these employers hang out. You need to be on the LinkedIns. You need to be at the networking events. You need to be at the meetups. You need to be at the hackathons. You need to be at the capture flag events. You need to be freelance. You need to be doing all these stuff. You don't have to do everything, but every single thing that you do. Interesting. But every single item that you do choose to take on increases the likelihood of you landing an opportunity. I've seen people land jobs without resumes. I've seen people land jobs without portfolio sites. I've seen people land jobs without projects. It's not typical. It's not guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. But what I will say is I would rather lose an opportunity simply because somebody was better than me than simply because I wasn't prepared for the opportunity itself.
Yeah. I really wish they would have talked about their process more. Because I feel like maybe something that we get pushed back on is that maybe they are trying these things and it's not working for them. But I guess it's not true because we know the numbers, the 6,000 applications. There's no way you can do the right thing and hit that number of applications. And so yeah.
I don't know. It's tough. Do you want to do a question? Maybe this can help another individual.
Let's do that.
I've got one here from
Let's do it.
Somebody. This came in through the emails. It's time to go to everybody's favorite part of the episode, including mine, the Ask Danny and Leon a Question. This one is from our emails. If you have a question that you want to submit, hit us up at dannyandleonspodcast@gmail.com. The email is always going to be in the show notes or the description. We read them, or somebody from the team always puts it in front of us. So we make sure that we always prioritize your questions. This one right here, it says, "What's up, Danny and Leon? Big fan of the show. I listen all the time. Thank you. I love the enthusiasm, inspiration, motivation, and the information about learning how to learn from Leon." Damn, I got excluded from that at the end. Okay. Just a question I have. I am working my way through the Odin project. Interesting. I just started the Ruby on Rails portion. Interesting. And I'm taking my time and diving deep on each subject, just making sure to cement all these concepts in my head. I'm making some connections on LinkedIn and on the Odin project Discord, but I know I'm not ready for a job at the moment. Fair. Is there anything more I can be doing to make some connections without actively seeking a job? I'm not a big introvert, but I don't always need help with things, as I like to figure out and solve problems on my own instead of asking someone else to solve my problems for me, which is great. I find it hard to make connections as I don't always know what to say or questions to ask. I do work full-time in a non-tech job, so I don't have all day to sit on LinkedIn and message people. Thanks in advance. Love you, bros.
What a phenomenal question to end this episode on.
Yeah, this is. I didn't know this was going to be where the article went, and so now I'm like, was this planted? It wasn't. I just picked one at random, but I like this question.
Yeah, so I think first off, you're already in the right mindset. Hey, I'm learning the hard skills I need to learn to be employable, but I realize there's this extra other thing that's going to actually lead to me having the results of getting a job. And so the networking, you're already doing. If you're thinking about it, you're reaching out to people, you're trying to make connection, you're doing the right thing. There's something that was kind of hinting at in the language you're using that I want to just be very clear about is that when you're a beginner, that's the best time to network. When you have zero expectations of the other person's time that you're reaching out to and you don't want something, right? Like that's just an easier way to be, all right, I'm going to provide a little bit of value in the message I'm sending. I'm going to kind of to meet them as like a human and make sure that like you are having a real connection that's not steeped in, I did a coding thing. I've been learning for 2 years. I need a job. Like that can come across in the message you're sending. So earlier in your journey, it makes it easier because you don't have that implicit like want, that thing that you need from them. And so that makes it a little bit easier to network with and connect with people. And so for anyone that's listening, start now. Like don't delay, start today. And then the other thing that I'll say along that line is you only have a little bit of time. The quality of your connections are going to matter a lot more, especially at this stage, than the quantity. So don't feel like you have to be on LinkedIn just spamming out people. Find a few meetups that you can meet after work, that you can build real relationships. Real people can see your growth. They can see you go from where you are now to the projects that you're building over time, that can be in positions to understand that you're a software engineer that can solve real things, do real things. Don't feel like you have to go out there blasting 1,000 messages a day. Build real connections with real people, ideally physically in person if possible, if you can do it after work. If not, find that recurring group of folks in the beginning to start getting your feet wet, having those conversations, meeting real engineers and interacting with them like in a normal one-to-one. And then over time, you can expand.
There's a lot that I want to say to this one. Number one, why didn't you write my name? You wrote Leon's. No, honestly, I love the fact that you got inspiration from anybody on this thing. That's what I've always said. You know, a lot of people kind of take what Leon and I say often and repackage it. And I've always said, it doesn't really bother me because if somebody gets the message, then that's worth it. I do get bothered when they put it behind a paywall, because then I'm like, you suck at that point. Like, we're putting it out for free on purpose, and then you put a price tag on it. I don't really like that. With that being said, I love the fact that you're going through any kind of program, whether it's the Odin Project, whether it's free code camp, whether it's Jimmy down the street giving you lessons, right? I think that's phenomenal. Ruby on Rails, I like Ruby. I will say Ruby is very popular in some markets, not a ton. I do get heat on this every time I mention it, but I do think it's a fair thing. So it goes back to one of my biggest pieces of advice that I've given since the beginning. Find out if Ruby on Rails even makes sense in your market. My gut would say you might be surprised to find out that it probably doesn't, unless you're in like DC is a huge Ruby market, right? Like Boston, government jobs. Yeah. But if you're not in one of those, you might want to reconsider the language that you're sticking with, simply from an aspect of time being dedicated to it. Now, I don't think anything's wrong from a fundamental standpoint of learning Ruby, because then you can kind of go wherever it is that you want to go. But I do think if you're not in one of those really, really core Ruby related markets, you might have better time spent on another language.
And if you start if you're doing the Odin project, they have a JavaScript track. Yeah. So like you're choosing to do that Ruby track when they have a JavaScript track, Yeah.
But now let's just presume that you are in a great market with Ruby, and that's the reason why you picked it. You already did your due diligence. You don't need me questioning that. Cool, no problem. So now that you're in that Ruby market, there are some great individuals in the Ruby market. Like one person that I think is a phenomenal human being, Jason Charnes, for years had the Ruby on Rails podcast, I believe is what it was called. And I believe now it's gotten like a new host and or a new team, something along those lines, and they're still going. Like, that's a great podcast to kind of tap into and listen to and kind of check out, right? But also, I would be going to the meetups. I'd be checking out those other things as well. Now, you said one thing in particular to me that was like, I have a non-tech job, and so how do I network? That was me. I had a non-tech job, and I was working around the clock, and I was networking. And so sometimes there's different levels of networking. Like, you could network based off of like, who do I know? Who am I meeting? What can I offer somebody? You can network based off of what I call the connector. Hey, I don't actually have something for you, but Leon, I know you mentioned how you're doing stuff with RC. Well, let me introduce you to this friend of mine named Eric, who loves supporting bootcamp related things like this. This could be an initiative that he might jump in between. I introduced Leon to Eric. Eric loves Leon because it matches exactly what he wants. Leon loves Eric because now they're supporting each other. I only had to make the connection, and they both love me for making it, and they're not going to forget that I was the one that made it. So that's a great way to network as well. But another thing is, one prime example of someone that we all kind of know today announced on Twitter, like, hey man, I've been sick. I'm taking a break. I've been in the hospital for a couple of days. I dropped everything, and in a moment, I literally recorded a video message because I felt like, personally, I just felt like a text reply wouldn't put in the emphasis that I personally wanted to give the personal approach for, because it was so serious. And I sent him a very quick video reply, like, hey, dude, I'm glad that you're doing okay. Like, if you haven't heard that, I'm just really glad that you're doing okay. Prioritize yourself right now. Bounce back. We all need you and all that good stuff. And then I sent a clip that we had recorded something in the past where we were just laughing nonstop. And he said, Danny, this is the first time I've laughed. I laughed in bed, which is great, right? But find your way for whatever that is. Yeah. And so if recording a short video is the way to do it, fantastic. If sending a great message is the way to do that, fantastic. But one thing that I'll even tell you, it's kind of been my mantra for a long time, is that video took like 30 seconds to record. Right? It didn't take long, but the intent was there. When I send a message or an email to somebody, it takes like a minute, right? If you just set aside like 5-10 minutes a day of meaningful intention to just be like, I'm going to connect with 5 people today. Like, let me go through my contact list of people that I know, or maybe new people that I'm trying to reach out to. Just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it may be. It's not a long period of time. It's 5-10 messages, right? Send them out as soon as you can at the beginning of the day. That's kind of what I started doing. It's been like a long while now. But like first thing in the morning, I don't even open up Slack or anything. It's straight away, hey, let me knock out these 10 messages. You're already succeeding significantly higher. And the thing is, let's say let's say I'm doing a little lunch with some people, maybe 5 of my friends or whatever, we're going out to lunch. Maybe I'm going to a restaurant where I can get a table for 10. Can I invite 5 more people that I've met along the way just to see? Maybe I met them at meetups and we kind of hit it off. Let me invite them to lunch. Let's have like a little group meet up together and just kind of conversate and relate. That's a great way to network. Or just doing something small like, hey, bro, I remember you mentioned this coffee shop and I'm planning to go there. You want to come hang out for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes? If they say no, on to the next one. Just keep going that way.
But they
There's
also
so
saw
many
that you thought of
ways.
them, you know?
Yeah, that's so true too. Like if you invite somebody and they don't accept it, like they're not gonna forget. Like if Leon invited me, I was like, bro, I can't make it. I'm not gonna forget that Leon invited me to something, and maybe I feel more compelled to say yes the next time. Highly possible.
And the other thing, I
Hopefully that
guess,
gives you some
just to
ideas.
layer onto this is you're already doing the Odin project. Do the projects. Make projects your own. Have demonstratable things you can show people at the end that you have the skills that you say you have. You do that, later with the networking, you'll be in a good spot.
Y'all, it's been real, kind of real depressing too. I'm not gonna lie, but this is. I apologize to everybody for the. Actually, this is Leon's fault. He brought this to all of us. Dude, I was in such a good mood an hour ago. What the heck, man? Oh my god, bro. I feel so down right now. Y'all, it's been real. It's been fun. And we will see you on the next one. Goodbye, everybody.
Peace.